here's Brody Brazil.
Well, we're at that point of the summer where football training camps have kicked back into gear. We've also obviously got baseball season in its final stretch, basketball and hockey right around the corner. So people are excited for the season upcoming. And obviously football always dominates the news and attention cycle. People want to know, like, how are the 49ers shaping up this season? And I pay attention. Social media, here on YouTube, I'm watching videos, things that I'm seeking or things that are suggested to me. But man, I see a lot of coverage about the quarterback position for the 49ers. And a team with a lot of high hopes and optimism for the upcoming season. They one of the final four teams left last year. Like, they're that close. Maybe they're on the verge of something next. But I'm getting literal scouting reports on a daily basis of what each quarterback is doing in practice sessions. And it's an interesting quarterback trio. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming any of the people and journalists and content creators and influencers out there. I'm not. Like, they're doing what they're doing, and this is what's interesting to the fan base. I'm not saying anything's wrong here, but man, it is a lot of coverage, like very narrowly focused on one position. And for the most part, these three gentlemen. Sam Darnold was a third-round pick, or third overall pick in 2018. Trey Lance also a third overall pick in 2021. And Brock Purdy, yeah, you know, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of 2022, 262nd overall. So these are your three main choices, right? And that's interesting. The newcomer is Darnold. Lance and Purdy have their respective injuries and stories and trajectories, and I get it. I'm not saying this is not interesting. I'm just saying, man, we are putting a lot of pressure on whoever's going to get the most snaps this season, and how it starts may not be how it finishes, but yeah, it's a critical 49ers season, so everything is important. But is the quarterback everything? Let's just detail the bios here. Brock Purdy, yeah, surprise story of 2022, kind of thrust into the spotlight, going from Mr. Irrelevant all the way to the NFC Championship game where he got hurt. He took over in Week 13, and let's not forget, all of this drama and saga carries over from a Jimmy Garoppolo era, from an Alex Smith era. I mean, I don't think there was this kind of controversy when it was Montana or Young, but I digress. This is how it is now. Took over in Week 13, then 2 or more touchdowns per week thrown in 7 straight games. Throwing a lot of touchdowns, but not rushing the football a ton. 34 rushing yards, and that's it in his 8 games. So I know that's a question of how that will pan out if he's the guy this year. And yes, he had that off-season shoulder surgery. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. So how will he rebound? We knew it was quicker than expected. People are excited he's just available for Week 1 and beyond. Sam Darnold signed with the 49ers after the last 2 seasons in Carolina. Spots of brilliance out there with the Panthers. Last year, first in yards per completion and yards per attempt. But there's also this, like Purdy and like Lance, 13 or fewer games played in all 5 of his NFL seasons. So there's always a bug. There's always some type of injury that holds him back and sets him back. He is likely to compete for a spot. Some people will say it's the number 2 spot behind either Trey or Brock. But we don't know. It's nice to have a third option, obviously, in depth, no matter who is 1 or 2 and eventually 3. Trey Lance, the 49ers traded up for him. You remember that in the 2021 draft. He comes from North Dakota State. So that in itself is a pretty cool story. Diamond in the rough, the 49ers knew what they wanted. It was him. They got him, but only 3 full games played in his first 2 seasons. Unfortunate, unbelievable injuries, to be quite honest with you. Now, unlike Brock Purdy, he can rush the football. 174 yards rushing and only 37 carries. That's a lot of first downs. Suffered the injury, the ankle injury back in Week 2. It was so frustrating, but he's only 23 years old. You obviously hope he's easily able to bounce back. But it brings me to the coverage and the mass amount of coverage of like what's literally going on while they're wearing their practice jerseys in the shadows of Levi Stadium. Everybody's focused on the quarterback, and it's a team sport. Daily camp updates and stats like, oh, you know, Brock was 4 for 12 passing with an interception today. In what, like a scrimmage? As somebody who covers baseball spring training a lot, and I've been to a lot of hockey training camps, I put no stock into actual stats. And again, I'm not blaming anybody for passing all that along. I'm just saying that we are digesting that at a very high rate this summer and this training camp. The quarterback position, it's critical, but it's not nearly the only one that's important. Running back, cornerback, I could go on and on. You could just say the offensive and defensive line are a huge part, and there's not as many stats for all that, but it's way too early to take this so very seriously. How they perform, body language, quotes, and I get it. It's a competition. People love storylines. But what do we have here? Do we have 3 prodigies? Like, what will we be saying by Thanksgiving? Man, they've got a quarterback controversy, conversation, competition, conundrum. What do they have here? Do they have 3 great quarterbacks and it's going to be, the luxury of choosing the best one? Or will they have none and they'll be like, none of this is working out? They will have something here. They'll be fine. I guess the drama is when you have choices, when you have options, how do you know you're making the right choice? And by the way, are people interested in all of this only because of who they're about to draft on their fantasy teams? Or do they actually care about the 49ers quarterback and who's going to get the most game snaps because they care about the actual 49ers and not their fantasy team? I don't know. Are people obsessed with the quarterback in San Francisco? Yeah, I'm not faulting them. I'm just saying, man, just take this and sometimes pan it out a little bit. I want to hear about what other new players have joined the team. I'm looking for that as much as I'm also looking for, the obvious. So let me know what you think about this video. Something different, but something that's been on my mind. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thumbs up on it. You made it here to the end. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.